Yes, you know, what we call intellectual empathy, it's important. In the book, The Quest for Meaning, I was explaining exactly this, is ourselves, sometimes, we look at the world through our window. So we have to decenter ourselves, to get out of our window, and sometimes to look at things from the object and not from only our standpoint. That's very difficult. A woman who was traveling a lot, Ella Maya, she's known for having traveled the world, said, you know what was the most difficult thing to me? It was to go to the station. The first steps to go to the station, to leave where you are. And when you deal with people who have a dogmatic mind, they look at things only from one side, it's very difficult to deal with them. And if you stop straight away by saying, that's all, there is no point. You only look at things from your narrow-minded perspective. What is important here is not to tell the people who are dogmatic, you are wrong. Sometimes dogmatism is the only intellectual dimension, or the intellectual dimension is taking over everything else. What makes you think differently? In psychological terms, we know now that you know how your brain is working, and I don't know if you studied neurosciences, but neurosciences are saying that when you get knowledge, the stimulus that it's coming from outside is touching, and something is go through the cortex, which is the rational side, and sometimes through the amygdala, it's touching the emotional side. And there is something which is very powerful in the way our brain works, is that when the knowledge is connected to pleasure, change the way you get this. And we have an experience with this, any one of us. You might have learned a discipline that you didn't like, mathematics, physics, biology, philosophy, literature. And at one point, your intellect didn't like the discipline, but at one point, your body, your heart liked the teacher. And in fact, the fact that you liked the teacher made you like the discipline. So it's through the emotion that your intellect is working differently. When you like, you think differently. When you deal with somebody who is dogmatic, with her or his mind, you should not stop at the intellectual level. You should listen. This is why you have to experience intellectual empathy, to try to understand from where he or she thinks, the narrow-minded window from which he or she thinks. And then you have to open something new, something that he or she likes, and come from that, not as a strategy, but this is the key. This is the key. You open a door, and if he or she gets something which is a sense of affection, the sense of respect, the sense of kindness, this opens the minds. Because some are dogmatic out of protection, and some are dogmatic out of ignorance, and some are dogmatic out of being stubborn. They are apparently all the same, but the reasons are completely different. You have to look in a psychological way. What does it mean? It means that sometimes what is visible is the same, and the deep reality is different. This is exactly what the Prophet ﷺ was doing with companions. They came with the same questions, and he provided other answers. Because he was dealing with he was getting from where the people are coming. This is what you have to do. You know what it means? It takes time. It takes love. Don't try to convince the people for the sake of convincing the people. Try to convince the people that you love, not the people that you want to control. It's different. Many of us, we have in mind, either we want to control or we want to convert. To convert is none of your business. It's not your business. But respect the people. And this is something which is very important. The best way to help somebody to move on is to love him and to respect him out of affection for his humanity before anything else. Just show respect. And if he or she made something completely wrong, learn forgiveness. So in fact, you have much more to work on yourselves first than on him or her. Because it's not easy. To deal with a dogmatic mind, it's very difficult. So you have to be the negative mirror of dogmatism in your own capacity. Wallahu a'lam.